Hello and welcome to Letters Home, a story of a World War II B-17 pilot from Lowell, Michigan, in his own words, and he just so happens to be my grandpa. I'm your host, Annie Whitlock, and I'm joined by my co-host, my dad, Mitch McMahon, my aunt, Lori McMahon Summerfield, and Dale Croft from the Lowell Historical Museum.
In each episode of Letters Home, we're going to dive into letters written by my dad during his time in World War II that he sent to his parents, siblings, and friends back home in Lowell, Michigan. We'll be reading his own words and giving some context as to what was happening in the world and in Lowell at the time he wrote these.
In this episode, Dad tries to settle into Dallas. He gets sentimental about his time in England and not so patiently waits for the baby to arrive.
That's right. So in our last episode, we talked about how the war in Europe ended. And Bruce enjoyed some time with Roger before heading to his assignment in Dallas, Texas. So we're going to start with a letter from Bruce from Monday, May 21st, 1945, in his own words.
Monday night. Dear Mom and Dad, I'll bet I've consumed 10 gallons of water today and I'm still thirsty. There's always been a nice cool breeze blowing here, but still the sun makes you sort of dry out. Of course, there's no comparison of this field in Kingman. Dallas is truly a beautiful city, and the country surrounding it is green with fields and trees. Also, the people in the city are really swell and very hospitable, like the ball game yesterday being free to soldiers, and they press your pants or shirts in a dry cleaner for only 15 cents. Margaret probably told you about my attempts and the various problems to my getting transferred to Romulus. Captain Neary going home on emergency leave has only complicated matters, or at least held up the final outcome for a couple weeks more than it would have been before. At least he and Colonel Short are going to have everything, they're going to do everything they can to help, so I'll just have to lay low. I don't like these idle days because time passes so much slower. It's nice to be able to go out and lie in the sub when you feel like it, or sit a half hour in the PX sipping a Coke, but still I'd prefer to be busy. Also, the fact that I do have a chance at a transfer makes me reluctant to get myself really settled here. If I was to stay, I'll get myself a permanent party, BOQ, and then I would be in a room alone. Although I'm practically in this room alone, as the flight officer has only been here one night since then. He's been out on a trip. He went to Paris, which is only a couple of 3 days from here, but it takes time to get passage back, as I understand it. But if I should find out that I can't negotiate a transfer, I'll not be too disappointed because I'll keep working on it and hope for the future. Gee, I hope your heart is getting a good rest, Mom. Are you making her mind? How does my wife fit in with the routine? Because I bet you've had some squabble because she's got a lot of what it takes, which makes for a definite mind on things, bless her. Still, it's probably been swell for all concerned, her being there. And incidentally, Dad, don't you get too excited about our youngins as you've done with all the rest of your grandchildren. Just remember this is my first time, and you know what a champ worrier I am. So let your youngest son do the worrying, eh? Well, I'll read a story in my True Detective magazine and then to sleep. God bless you, your loving son, Bruce.
Yeah, I like how she's got a lot of what it takes, which makes for a definite mind on things. So he's basically saying she's stubborn,
Yeah.
So you probably argued with her.
She's got a lot of what.
I know, that's a very kind way to put that, but I still that's
Got a
pretty
lot of
funny.
crust. Got a lot of crust. More crust than a pie factory. That was one of Mom's favorite.
Wait, what is it?
More crust than a pie factory.
More crust than a pie factory? What is that?
She got a lot of crust.
Okay.
You know.
Tough.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Stubborn.
Okay. I like it. Well, it seems like he is enjoying Dallas. I'm going to start using that because the free baseball games. That's the other thing I love that he mentioned, the free baseball. Dale, though, what can you tell us about Love Field, where he's spending his time?
Well, Love Field Airport was established on October 19th, 1917, and leased by the U.S. Army as a training base for the U.S. Army Air Service during World War I. It was named for Army Lieutenant Moss L. Love, who died in a training accident in California in 1913. He had no ties to Dallas, but the Army followed a tradition of honoring fallen aviators. He was the 8th fatality in aviation history.
Oh, okay.
After World War I, the city acquired the land in 1927, and commercial passenger service commenced with the help of Charles Lindbergh, 1927 visit, which increased public interest in aviation, encouraging the city to develop the airport. In the 1930s, the airport became a major hub for fledgling airlines like American, Delta, and Banff. establishing it as one of America's best airports with the first paved runways.
Oh, all right.
Love Field again served the military during World War II, which is Bruce's time, as a major air training base and headquarters for the Air Transport Command, ATC. Facilities were also expanded to include training areas and operations for Women Air Force Server Pilots, the WASP.
Okay.
After the war, the airport saw major renovations and expansions to accommodate larger aircraft and growing passenger numbers, becoming the largest air terminal in the Southwest by 1964. Now, the FAA, or the Federation Aviation Administration in 1964 mandated that Dallas and Fort Worth construct a single regional airport to serve the entire area. This new airport, the Dallas-Fort Worth, or DFW International Airport, opened in 1974. The opening largely ended commercial passenger service at Love Field, with major carriers transferring their operations to DFW. However, Southwest Airlines, which was founded in 1971, refused to move to DFW and continued flying out of Love Field. Now, here's some politics, of course.
Okay.
Get into the program here. To protect the new DFW airport from competition, the U.S. government enacted the Wright Amendment in 1979. The amendment restricted commercial passenger service from Love Field, get this, to Texas and its 4 neighboring states. That's all they could fly to, Texas.
Oh.
And
Okay.
the rule aimed to prevent other airlines from establishing operations at Love Field. Over time, the Wright Amendment was gradually relaxed and eventually repealed in 2014.
Whoa,
the
that's
repeal led
late.
to a
Okay.
significant expansion of routes from Love Field and a substantial increase in passenger traffic. Today, Love Field serves as Southwest Airlines corporate headquarters and a significant operating base.
I didn't know that.
So there we go. Yeah,
Okay.
the old Wright Amendment.
They must have really liked Love Field.
Yeah.
Set up their base there and
Yeah.
refused to move. Oh, all right. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It does seem like Bruce isn't quite ready to settle, though, in Dallas. He's writing about transferring to Romulus, which is near Detroit, if anyone's listening outside
He
of
wants to get to Michigan, yeah, right?
He really does. Yep. And I mean, that's where the Detroit airport is now.
He's got a kid on the
but-
way. You know.
Yeah, it's got a baby on the way. Well, now it's time to get into our segment where we talk about what was going on in the world and in Lowell in May and June of 1945. We're going to focus more on Lowell news this time, and even then we don't have a lot. So the class of 1945 graduated, so I got to see a picture of my other grandpa, Rex Collins, in the ledger. So there's that. I'm now searching for all sides of my family as I do historical research. But Bruce wrote another fun letter on May 27th about a Lowell person. We may or may not know, I don't know. In his own words.
Friday night. Dear Mom and Dad, how's everything in the family these days? Gosh, Mom, that was a long letter you wrote. Now don't be overdoing it. Though I gotta confess, I felt like singing when I saw that you were able to write that much. Still, you mustn't try to do anything for a long, long time, and writing a letter is nervous work. Mark said it must be tough on you to stay in bed, but you've got one of those minds that when it makes up its mind to do a thing, you'll not worry about carrying it through. If it takes a year of rest, then it'll take a year. And so what? We've got a bunch of good, solid, happy ones together, so why fret about one measly old year or 2 or 3 for that matter? Remember, you promised me in so many letters that you'd take care of yourself, so we'd be up to where we left off as soon as I was out. Well, I'm holding you to that, and that goes for the night owl husband of yours, too. I laugh at the way Marg writes about you, Dad. She gets along okay with your kind of guy. And here's a tip. Her favorite woman in Lowell is one Lotta, and her 2 favorite men are Frank J., and next to him it's Earl Thomas. Don't say I told. I guess there's no need to tell you how grateful I'll always be for my mom and dad. There are no words I could say except maybe what Roger said when we were in Big Springs. He said his only wish, if given one, would be that his children would think about the same of him as we do of mom and dad. Well, that about says it all. And just to prove it isn't because I'm biased, I'll show you a page from Marg's letter when I get home again. Everything's going swell with me. not too much to do, but if I get started toward Michigan, I'll be busy. And I've even thought of commuting by private plane if I get stationed in Romulus. But don't figure on that, Dad, however. We'll get around to your flying darn soon. But we'll have to take Mom on all the rides, both during instruction and after. That's one reason alone, Mother, that you've got to take it easy. We're going to eat breakfast in St. Ignace and be back home for supper one of these Sundays. You just wait and see. And so it's good night for now, till plans can go there. God bless you, my dearest Mom and Dad. Your loving and ever grateful son, Bruce.
Aw, that'd be cool. Just like
go to St. Ignace for breakfast.
You can fly a plane, like just fly up there, fly back.
Yeah.
But who is Earl Thomas? Does anybody know? Clearly, he's a favorite of Margaret's, but I mean, he's joking, like he's making a joke, or I don't understand this reference.
Well, I did go down the rabbit hole like you.
Okay, tell us. This is good.
No, I did go to the Find a Grave and searched. Oh, right. And he is, let's see, he is Goldie Rivette's father-in-law. So, and we know the Rivettes. We've talked about the Rivettes, so we know Goldie.
He flew the plane under. He's the guy that flew the plane under the bridge.
Yep.
Okay.
So his wife's dad.
Okay.
So his wife was a Thomas. So.
Okay.
Ethel Ann, did I say Ethel Ann Rivette, right? Ethel Ann, yeah. So I had to look at the sisters. She, crazy. She had I won't even go into it because there's a lot.
It's a big family.
But she must have. I mean, I imagine she.
What does he do that Margaret would be just so enamored with him?
I'm wondering. I don't know that part I don't know.
If he's anything like Ethel, you'll know why. Ethel was very vibrant and very,
Okay.
She was a character. Let's put it that way.
Okay. So maybe he is too,
and it's her
she just thinks he's funny.
Yeah. So,
okay, could be.
Yeah.
But he would be a lot older, right? If I'm getting the generations.
Frank's age.
Okay. That makes sense.
I think he was born in 1883, something like that.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to do some.
So Mom's favorite, two guys or a couple of old guys.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. Right. I mean, that's what he's sort of laughing about. He's like, "Don't tell I told," or something like it. It's really cute. But I'm like, who the heck is this person? I've never heard of Earl Thomas.
Things that we just don't remember. Like, I don't remember, again, I'm sure he wouldn't have talked about it, or I would have been in doing my own life, but Goldie Rivette died before Dad did. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, sure, he went to his funeral and, thinking about all of that. I just wasn't familiar with that.
I remember Dad bringing his name up a few times.
Oh, really? Okay.
Earl or Goldie Rivette?
Goldie Rivette, yeah.
Sorry.
I know. Yeah. It's a different name. Yep, Goldie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if anyone else knows more information on Earl Thomas, let us know. We want to know. Well, also in the Ledger around this time, speaking of Lowell news, is Bill Lally. We mentioned last episode that he returned. He was liberated from the camp when the war was over, but now he's back in Lowell, and so his name is all over the Ledger right around this time because being a prisoner of war, that's returned. He's all over the paper. He's given interviews in the Ledger about his time in the prison, and he's speaking at neighborhood clubs, and as you know, the Ledger reports on family parties. So there's numerous family parties that it's like in honor of William Lally returning from the war, and he was over here, and he must have been a busy guy when he came back. Seems like I would just want to not do anything, but I guess maybe
what a story though. What a story to tell.
So he's and he's famous. He's a little famous.
Little famous.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was funny. So I would search and see that. And I go, oh, Lally, let's search that, and it's just like pops up everywhere.
Well, Masters of the Air did kind of feature that particular camp, right?
That's true too. Camp. Yeah, so it's a famous one. It's a famous one. So, well, the next letter we have is quite a few days later. Bruce wrote a very long letter to his parents on June 9th, 1945. And it's a very sentimental letter, so we'll take a little turn here. It's about how much he really loves Frank and Lotta. We've read many letters like this before. We're not going to read all of it, but there is an interesting excerpt in the middle of it where he starts to get really real about what happened in England. To me, this was, when I was reading this, it's kind of the first time we hear what he really thought. So, in his own words.
The great vital strength that you gave to me was most certainly the thing that brought me through 13 long months of combat. An experience that I can tell you now was purgatory on earth. The love that you imagined in me made it possible for me to write to you these cheerful letters when despair was only waiting to take hold of me. Yes, that blue box of letters will always signify the power there is in love for my mother and father. How many times, at least 38, did I drop onto my bed and then force myself up to that desk to have the words, "Dearest Mother and Dad," written before me change my spirits? Until when I finished with "Your loving son and loving and grateful son," I was again able to think straight and go to bed with no fear of tomorrow. That grateful son didn't mean my gratitude for all the things you'd given me in life before. No, it meant my gratitude for the peace that came in writing to you and for trying for a moment to span all those miles of ocean to you. Many times I thought of your strong faith in God and strength in mine. I could help feeling closer to God because I was your son. I could never repay you. It would be foolish to think so because you can't place any value on what you've given me. Yeah.
Oh, that chokes me up.
Yeah, that got to me.
This one hit me when I read this one. I mean, this is the first time he's really revealing just how scared he was, I think, right?
Sure.
Flying those missions and just how, like, writing the letters really helped him.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really thought about that, all these episodes that we're reading these letters. I was like, I want more dirt on the missions. And he's probably like, no, this is really helpful. Like, as he's writing these, it's really helpful for him to
just go back
be able
and
to
think
talk.
about, yeah.
Yeah, talk to his parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, that blue box that started this
Yeah.
whole thing. Right?
It's cool that he makes reference to it. Yeah.
I know that blue box full of letters will always signify the power there is in love for my mother and father. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's just, that's a good one. So we have to throw this letter in this podcast somewhere, right? It's an important
that was
one.
Tough.
Yeah. Well, we have to read something a little lighter now, for sure. Bruce wrote this next letter to his parents the very next day after he wrote this, like, very long sentimental one. So I do think it's interesting. Like, he can have those days where he's feeling particularly pensive and sad, or maybe you're reminiscing, and then he has some other ones. So we'll read this one next in his own words.
Sunday, 9:30. Dear Mom and Dad, I've just come back from the Post Chapel, so I thought I'd better get busy dropping you a few belated lines. The last week or so, I've been a poor excuse for a letter writer. Guess you just have times when you can't seem to think of a thing when you pick up a pen. I've been in one of those moods now for quite a few days. Maybe it's the heat here, but don't blame it on my anxiety for things to happen with Margaret. I'll admit, it's kind of tough waiting, but shouldn't bother me on letter writing. I don't worry about her because I know she's in the best of hands in the world, and more couldn't be done for her if I was there getting in everybody's way. I'm so glad we're having this baby now. I've always envied the rest of the family because you had seen and knew their children, and I was the only one who wouldn't be able to say I'd made you Grandma and Grandpa. Well, I always figured it would never happen, but a certain gal by the name of Margaret changed it in a hurry. Bless her. Now you're going to see each of your children with their own children. And it must be nice for you to know you've finally seen your youngest married to such a gal as Margaret, right? That kind of makes your batting average 1,000%, right? After a while, I'll go down and check my mail, get a snack at the PX, and then I'll lay around until 2 when I'll go down to Rivershun Park to a doubleheader between the teams of the leagues here. Wish you were going too, Dad, and then we would make cracks about the plays and boo the grandstanders. Alone, I kind of feel funny hollering. Incidentally, there's no charge for me. A soldier's fee. Soldiers are free. Well, in a week or so, I should be hearing from Cincinnati, and I'm almost sure to be transferred, but whether it'll be Romulus, or not is a different story. Be careful, Mother, and get rested real good. Just have a lot of patience with your ticker, and it'll be good as new before long. I'll be seeing you before long now. Your loving son, Bruce.
So this letter was dated June 10th, 1945. And Aunt Marty, did I get her birthday right?
Yes.
June 19th?
Yes.
Is when she's going to be born.
Mary
So
Marta.
we're just, a little over a week away
Crazy.
from, his first child being born. We're getting much closer.
Yeah.
That's funny about him saying, he never thought he'd have kids, so he feels good that can give them kids or grandkids from all their children.
When you say batting, don't you say just batting 1,000?
We do. He put the percent in there, though.
He
That
did?
is not my error. He
Okay,
did.
well, no, and I didn't know if I should read it because I kept thinking batting 1,000, but it says percent. Okay.
No, we have to be historically accurate. He wrote 1,000%.
Well, I do want to be in touch with Marty, telling her that he was glad that they were having the baby now.
Yes.
So I wanted to let her know that. So,
Yeah. And there is a big gap in letters between this one and our next week's episode. So
Okay.
I think, I can guess, he's back home. I think he was able to go back to
Take a
Lowell
leave, yeah. Oh,
to
cool.
be there for the birth of his first child. We can only guess. So that'll be next week's episode. We'll get into
Cool.
the birth of baby Marty. But, we're in the final year here. We're actually in the last handful of episodes, and we definitely want to take listener questions. So we're getting some rolling in, so this is good. Our next listener question comes from my house, my husband Mike, who asked, what has been the most surprising thing that you've learned from the podcast? So last week we talked about how's our perspective changed. This one is just what's the thing that shocked you the most to learn?
Well,
And Dale, you have to get one ready too. One surprised you too. Do you want to go first, Dad?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, I knew my whole life I knew Dad was, a talented guy and a jack of all trades. He seemed like he could fix anything, and he had built our home himself, which I knew wasn't the case with most other dads. And so I was probably most surprised that he was such a wordsmith. Mom was the language arts teacher, and Dad was an avid reader, and I was always impressed by his extensive vocabulary. But these letters showcase his ability to describe a moment and to put you there in a scene and reveal what was going on internally and externally as well. And this last letter, the distinction he makes between the types of gratitude, that's pretty insightful. And
Yeah.
I don't know. He found 100 different ways to honor his mother and father in these letters.
He really did.
His vulnerability was surprising to me as well, and I'm sure the uncertainty of war provided the impetus for a lot of it. But every time Dad wrote kind words about his parents, I wish that I had said something similar to Mom and Dad, and man, even just once. And he'd crank those out every week. That was certainly something.
I know.
Well, yeah, and it does. I mean, this letter, like Annie said, makes me think about. You kind of understand, not that he wouldn't have done that before, not that this, but that it did put him in a frame of mind after some mission to be loving and appreciative and think about those things. I mean, they do say that gratitude brings you out of depression and gratitude helps you. So, I mean, I think that's part of it too. But you ditto. I just said the same thing. Descriptive. You felt like you were right there sometimes.
Yeah.
When he was writing stuff. So descriptive.
No wonder so many of them were published in the Ledger.
Sure.
And why I think people probably, I'm assuming they're not listening to the podcast for our wit and charm. They're really listening for Grandpa's words.
Yeah.
And what he says, right? I mean, it's amazing.
I think he knew it was historical. He knew the history that was involved, I think. And that comes through in the words.
Yeah, perhaps. What about you, Dale? Anything surprised you?
Once again, it comes all back to his reverence for his parents. Oh my gosh, it's just, I can't. How he expresses it is just amazing, absolutely amazing. And of course, like Mitch said, the quality of his writing in detail, and some of the letters were painted a picture,
Yeah, I mean, for me, surprising thing is what started this whole podcast was the fact that I had no idea he was at D-Day. And I just remember opening that scrapbook at your house, Aunt Lori, and being like, wait, what? This says June 6, 1944? There's pictures from this? How did I not know this? So that's what started this whole thing for me. Well, now I got to go find what he said about that. And I want to know more about who these people are.
Dale kind of shamed me. I should know more. Dale knows more about my dad now. And he started talking about Colonel. I went, Colonel? Oh, he knows Dad's dog, and I don't.
The dog,
oh my
yeah.
gosh, right,
well, now I feel like I know all these people from his pictures, especially, and then being in touch with that museum in England. It's I feel like I know these people a little bit.
Sure.
But I was also surprised that Grandma Maggie was worked at the Willow Run
I was too.
plant. I had no idea.
I didn't know that.
No clue that she left teaching for a while to go do that.
Me neither. No, me
So-
neither. Surprise, surprise.
Because I think you, at your house, Dad, have a yearbook of hers where she's the teacher. It's like a Lowell High School yearbook. And she's in it. Or middle school, or something. I don't know.
Middle
It says
school.
like social studies teacher. And she was clearly looks like a baby. Like a young, we talked about her being like a really young teacher. But then, I just kind of assumed, I guess she was a teacher then her whole life. But I didn't think about the fact that she left for a while and went to go do her part in the war effort, right? Like, that's cool. I didn't think about that.
Well, kudos to you too, because you've included so much of the in your writing, in your research, what was going on at the like. I've learned a lot of history from both of you and Dale.
That
with just
was
I
to
don't-
me being from the museum, the history pieces that we picked up just about our town,
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, at the board meeting yesterday, we were talking about how important music is to this town. I mean, it's huge. So I brought up, well, here's a good one. They brought up Orville Jessup's name. So then I brought up about the fire
Oh,
in
the fire.
1945 and how
Yeah.
he rushed in and saved $1,000 worth of musical instruments.
Awesome.
you
Yeah.
know, and,
Great.
Save the music
I mean,
program,
all just all the stuff I learned about Bruce
And
alone.
Lowell, and Lowell. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Lena
mean,
Lou and all. I mean,
reading all those
the other-
ledgers.
I appreciate living in a small town more.
Yeah.
I really do. They talk about how we're not as sociable anymore. Did you see the latest statistics about partying? People just don't go to parties. And,
Oh, yeah.
And, back in the day,
That's
they went to each other's homes a lot.
a
And it-
lot.
and
then
it made the headlines.
And then it was in the ledger.
It was in the ledger.
It's like pre-social media. You just go through all the happenings in the ledger. But it's been super helpful for this podcast. So,
Nowadays, you have Facebook. Hey, you post a picture of, hey, we're all got together. But
But how are we going to
back
archive
Lowell-
that?
Lowell-
Like,
the
I
Lowell
mean,
ledger was the.
Well, shout
Facebook,
out.
I
We're
think.
having my neighbors are having a picnic on the hill.
oh,
So
the Reservoir
I think
Hill
probably
Social
the,
Club.
The Brill Hearts, but it's the first since I've been there that we're gonna all get together, and that's kind of
Yay.
fun. That's kind of
That
fun.
is really nice.
I'll talk to them about the house.
How
about,
much
you
we
know.
talk about that area.
Yeah.
Anyone who ever lived on the hill is invited, right?
Ever?
Well, absolutely. Of course.
One
you
other
are.
one other thing I enjoyed about Bruce is he was never scared to try something. Like right out of high school, he teams up with and they start running a gas station. I mean, they
yeah.
were 19
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
20 years old and they've got a gas station they're trying. I mean, he wasn't scared to try stuff.
No,
Yeah.
not if you become an aviator.
Yeah,
Back
yeah.
in that day, when
I
it
mean, he
was
had
pretty-
his pilot license at
Young.
7, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Really
flying
young.
at a,
Yeah, I guess I didn't know just how much he. I guess surprised me, but maybe not. How much he really wanted to be a pilot. I guess I kind of thought that was something he learned in the war.
I did too.
But like, no, that was just something he'd wanted to do forever, and that's why he joined.
Yeah. 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I assumed that's something he learned in the war, but
he absolutely loved flying.
Yep.
Absolutely loved flying.
Yep.
because I think he had given it up by the time I really knew him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Yeah, I don't remember him
Well, yeah.
ever flying.
Sure. Yeah.
So did he fly much after World War II? Did he have friends that had planes or
I'm not
nothing?
sure.
It was basically done.
I am not sure. No. I
Okay.
think.
I don't know if he ever even went up with Ghoulie Rivette. I would guess maybe, but
I don't know about after the war. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, little preview. I'm trying to do some research into like
Anybody
the
knows?
years immediately after the war to give a little.
Yeah.
Where are they now? We're gonna have to
Yeah.
include that in our last pod. And
Steve-
he was involved in the airport construction here.
Yeah, he was.
So.
oh, I didn't know that at all.
I just learned that too.
Wow.
But
Well, stay tuned because I got a
Stay
story
tuned.
about. Well, yeah. What do we say? Yeah, stay tuned because I got a story about water skiing. Yeah, I'll know that one.
At Murray Lake?
No, actually, I think it's
Morrison.
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 yes, more questions. We have a few more episodes to answer some. So if you have something you want us to answer, we'll try anyway. Let us know. Send a message to the Letters Home Instagram or the museum, and we'll read your question and answer it in a future episode. Thank you all for listening to Letters Home. We hope you continue to listen as we go through Bruce's story. You can listen to Letters Home on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the Lowell Historical Museum website and YouTube channel. New episodes drop every Thursday. The Lowell Historical Museum has digitized versions of Bruce's letters, so you can read them in full, along with primary sources for most of the people, places, and events we've talked about here today, plus more. You can also follow the Lowell Historical Museum on Facebook and the Letters Home podcast on Instagram at Letters Home Lowell. Thank you to Roger McNaughton for our podcast music and to Lowell Radio for letting us record in their studio at Lowell High School every week. Stream it at lowellradio.org. See you next time.